It is very safe to say that Port Vale have had a very successful transfer window this season, bringing some marquee signings in and setting the standard in League Two. We're going to completely go through and break down each individual signing and make a score at the end of how we rate this summer's transfer market, with some fans' opinions as well. Just before we do get into the video, however, I just want to know your opinions on the new kit. I've got it on now. I'm not a massive fan of it, not a massive fan of the badge being in a circle in the middle, and the sponsor, kit manufacturer, whatever you want to call it, being below that. Not a massive fan of it, to be honest with you. I like the collar and the sleeve designs, but other than that, I'm not much of a massive fan of it. But let me know your opinions on the kit down below in the comments, whether you like it or not. I'm quite interested to see, actually, because I'm not a massive fan of it, but I've heard quite a few people say it's quite nice. It's like a Marmite kit in my opinion, but let me know in the comments down below. We have to acknowledge the departures. So at the time of recording, Iacovitti has just gone on the day that I'm recording to St Mirren for an undisclosed fee. I wish him the best of luck on his day. Was a brilliant player for Port Vale. Just unfortunately didn't, hit the ground running after he came back from his injury. But give us some great away days. One that sticks out in the memory is Oxford away. Scored the first goal in that dramatic game. So a big thank you to Iacovitti, and a very nice guy as well. Also, Uchik Pezu went to a Scottish Premier League side, along with James Wilson, Gavin Massey, and Jason Luteweiler also getting released. Good luck to James Wilson as well, who has been signed by Northampton Town in League One. All the best to him. Was a brilliant player for us in League Two and in League One, to be fair. Now it is time for the signings, and what a way it was to start the transfer window. Then with Ronan Curtis coming in through the doors to former Portsmouth and AFC Wimbledon man, a marquee signing, and definitely set the standard for our transfer window so far, and arguably our best signing of the transfer window. Arguably, I say. What a signing this is. He's a player that likes to attack at players, which is something we've missed at Vale for a very long time, since I've been supporting the club, really, which is about 6 or 7 years now. But yeah, loves to get at players, loves to attack them, run at players, which is what I love to see in a winger. So a very successful signing for me. Jaden Stockley as well, another great signing, great in the air and great to hold up play, which is essential if you're going to have a spin-off striker, which we have signed, which we'll cover in a little bit in Laurent Talage. A brilliant signing. He's a proven goal scorer, guaranteed to get you 10 goals as an absolute minimum, and that's in League One as well. So it's a brilliant signing. Ryan Crosdale was our next signing, a central defensive midfielder who was crucial in Stockport winning the league last year. Brilliant signing. He tends to hold the team together. He's like the glue in the team. Loves a good tackle and can also play some deadly through balls as well, after watching some of his highlights. Now, Sam Hart is an interesting signing. A left wing back or left back from Sutton United. He did win their Player of the Year last year, and Sutton did get relegated. So as much as it is an achievement, is it something that you can necessarily brag about? I'm not sure, because the standard at Sutton wasn't very great, was it? However, it's an interesting signing because it's not technically the profile you'd look at and think, yeah, you want him with his track record. But when you actually break it down, and I've watched him in pre-season, he actually looks like a very decent footballer, especially on the ball, controlling play, and it just looks like exactly what we need, which I think Darren Moore is getting spot on. Now, another very interesting signing in Laurent Talage. A very good goal scoring record last year for Aldershot in the National League. And he looked very decent as well against Newcastle Town in particular in the pre-season friendlies. Now, when I first saw him, when we signed him, and when we saw him first couple of minutes in the Newcastle Town pre-season friendly, you'd expect him to be that type of player who's quick, runs at players, is very direct, but actually seemed to be the complete opposite. He seemed to be quite slow. He seemed to be great in the air, and also a very clinical finisher, which is, of course, you'd expect him to be a clinical finisher, considering he got 20 goals last season. But he didn't seem the type of profile that I had imagined him to be. However, 20 goals, no matter what kind of player you are, speaks for itself, really. And I think it is an incredible signing, considering, we've had to pay for a fee We had to pay a fee for him, and there were other clubs, in League One sniffing around him as well. So that is a brilliant bit of business, and it shows that we're not here to mess around. We're here to get what we want, which I think is brilliant. Ben Amos now, former Manchester United goalkeeper. We got him from Wigan. He was clearly unhappy about his time at Wigan. In his press conference when signing for Vale, he stated that he's come here to play first team football. Now that did worry me, when I saw this interview, because it automatically gets you thinking, is Ripley going? I don't think he is. I've got to be honest, nothing as of yet that I've heard. If he is a backup, he's probably the best backup in the league. However, from his press conference, I can't see him wanting to be a backup. But I can't see Connor Ripley wanting to be a backup either. I don't really know how that's going to gel. It's probably the only signing that worries me. It's a good issue to have, don't get me wrong. But I don't know. It either goes one way or the other. One of them either gets injured and you're thinking, thank God we signed them. Or the morale just goes completely down in the goalkeeping unit because both of them want to start. Both of them are good enough to start in League Two. And of course, only one goalkeeper can start at the end of the day. So competition will be tough. I think Connor Ripley will still start though, I've got to be honest, but we'll have to see when the season comes. Now, this is my favourite signing. Not necessarily the best signing, but my favourite signing of this summer's transfer window. Connor Hall is back. Connor Hall was probably one of my favourite players in that promotion season. He held the team together. He was like the Rodri, necessarily, the unsung hero. Got a crucial goal, Hartlepool away, which pretty much secured us a playoff spot, close enough. When he left mid-January, you definitely saw the difference in the team. That's when we started to play very poor. We just survived relegation that year, and of course the next year we did end up getting relegated. So you definitely saw the drop in quality when Connor Ripley left. However, my only worry is he is, of course, now 2 years older than what he was when we last saw him. So I hope he's still got it. I think he will, but he didn't have a very good couple of seasons at Colchester. But then again, counter arguing that, Colchester aren't a very good team, are they? Let's just put it that way. Hopefully, I love Connor Hall as a player. So hopefully, I hope it works for him, because if it does, we've got a good defender, a very, very good defender. Just like to throw in as well that Bailey DePepper did sign a new contract until 2027, which is a great bit of business. And I've heard a rumour, of course I don't know how true this is, but I've heard a rumour that Port Vale have put a £3 million minimum bid on his head, essentially meaning they won't sell him for anything under 3 million, and that's the baseline. So it as an absolute minimum. Of course, there'll be add-ons and potentially an even higher bid for Bailey DePepper, but I think that's a great bit of business. Now, by far the best transfer in the league, and I do want to spend quite a bit of time on this subject, George Byers. Now, he played for Championship Sheffield Wednesday, a centre midfielder, box-to-box midfielder, creative. You could link him to like a lower league's Kevin De Bruyne, that type of player, inch perfect passes, through balls, etc. The creative player in your team. Now, this is by far the best signing in the league, not only because of the pedigree that the player brings, but also the clubs that were after him. You've got the likes of Bolton, Charlton, your big League One clubs. Them types of clubs wanted him, and we've got him. Of course, Darren Moore helps there a lot. Of course, he did play under him when they got promoted from League One to the Championship. But that is an incredible signing. I don't think some people understand the magnitude of that signing. It is unbelievable. It's an unbelievable bit of business from Port Vale, and I can't wait to see him play at Vale Park. I genuinely cannot wait to see him play. Now, excuse me on the pronunciation. It's quite a complex name, but our latest signing, the man from Queen's Park, from Scottish Championship side. Now, again, excuse me on the pronunciation, Rory Patton. Looks like a decent striker. I haven't done too much, research into him necessarily. I can see him being a backup. To be honest, I don't see him getting ahead of Talage, Pepper and Stockley. To be honest, I might be wrong. It looks like a decent striker, looks like a decent backup striker. Again, do I see him starting? No. Do I think he's a brilliant backup option? Most likely, yeah. It looks like a decent pedigree of a striker and hopefully can produce for Vale. Personally, I think this transfer window has been an extremely successful transfer window so far. The departures, I think, I forgot to mention Ryan Loft. Ryan Loft has also been sold to Cambridge, again for an undisclosed fee, but it's brilliant that we've got some cash for him and the right move for Ryan, because he was treated unfairly at Vale and it was never really going to work at Vale, so I wish him the absolute best. But yeah, it's best for both parties if he moved on, and it's brilliant that we've got a bit of money for him as well. So in my eyes, in my opinion, this transfer window has been extremely successful for Port Vale. However, it's not just my opinion that matters necessarily. Of course, it's the whole of the Port Vale fan base's opinion that matters. And of course, I can't ask every single Port Vale fan what their opinion is. So what I've done instead is I've condensed it down to some people who follow me on Instagram, and I've asked them to do me a short video on what they think of the transfer window. Now, just before I do play these videos, just to let you know that at the time these videos have been recorded, we hadn't signed Ruari Paton, or however you pronounce his name, and George Byers, so them two won't be mentioned. However, they're all quite positive anyway, and I'm sure they'll just be feeling even more positive with these signings made. However, we started off with an absolute banger, coming from a man who used to do similar what I do, vlogging Port Vale games, lift, hills and thrills. So Sean, I can't wait to hear your opinion. Take it away, mate.
I fully expect Port Vale to go straight back up, purely because the players that we're signing, we're thinking about them, we're putting more thought into them, and we're actually paying fees for these players that are being missed by the fans from the clubs that they've come from. It's a very strong team with players that are coming in that could easily play League One football. It's just a case of, can they play well together? I think that's the main thing for me and the main worry. Bringing Connor Hall back is phenomenal. That kind of hearty feeling for fans that kind of irks back to the promotion season. It's just good to have a familiar face that we can link back to a positive time in our history. I fully expect us to go back up. We've just got to play as a team. If it gels and those players perform to the standard that they've played at previous clubs, then we're going to be in for a treat. It'll be great to actually see a good season back at Vale again, and the positive vibes will follow. Up the Vale!
Really excited about all the new signings. Looking forward to watching them all play, especially Jaden Stockley, to see what impact he has on the club. I'll be hoping for a top 3 finish with the players we've got. Come on, the lads. Up the Vale!
I think Vale have had a good summer so far. I think the signings we've made are excellent. We've added goals to the team with Jaden Stockley, Talage, Roland Curtis. A very grit to the midfield with Crowsdale. We've then got the new goalie Ben Amos come in to give competition for Ripley Hart, which will give a lot of balance at the back, and obviously the return of Connor Hall. So quietly confident that we can finish top 3 at the moment. Obviously injuries could have an impact, etc. But yeah, at the moment, really happy and really looking forward to the season for the Vale.
The signings we've actually got are unreal, because for Vale they are nearly 5,000 season tickets sold already, and that, I know people might say, oh, that's crap, but for Vale fans that is good, but because we only had 6,000 in each game last year. But I think the atmosphere going to become on the players, and I think we're going to come a League One side next year.